The moment the first punch landed, 14-year-old Lily Hart tasted metal and fear. By the time the third kick crashed against her ribs, the world blurred into a spinning gray haze. But while the bullies laughed and filmed her folded body on the schoolyard pavement, they didn't know one thing, something that would change everything. Lily's father hadn't always lived quietly. Before the 9-to-5 job, before he promised Lily he'd left the outlaw life behind, he had been a full-patched Hell's Angel, the kind of man who rode with brothers who treated loyalty as sacred and vengeance as second nature. And when he learned what had been done to his daughter, he didn't just come. He brought 47 motorcycles rumbling behind him. Lily Hart was the kind of girl who never fully realized the light she carried inside her. She was quiet, gentle, more comfortable sketching wolves and mountains in the back of her notebook than raising her hand in class. Her father, Luke Hart, adored her soft spirit. Every night he'd tell her, "You don't need a bark when you've got a brain like yours." She believed him, or at least she tried to, but high school was rarely kind to those who didn't roar. For weeks, three girls, Trina, Kelsey, and Brooke, had circled Lily like vultures. At first it was small things, snickering in the hallway, shoving her books off her desk, mocking her clothes. Lily ignored it, hoping they'd lose interest. But bullies rarely stop when someone stays silent. They stop only when something louder interrupts them. The real breaking point came on a cloudy Tuesday afternoon. The wind was cold, biting, the kind that warns people that something bad is coming. Lily had stayed after class to finish a drawing project, and by the time she stepped outside, most students were gone, except them. The three girls stood by the bike racks, waiting like hunters with nothing but time. "Look who finally crawled out," Trina sneered. Lily clutched her backpack straps, whispering, "I just want to go home." They blocked her path. One grabbed her sketchbook, another shoved her, sending her stumbling back. Lily felt her heartbeat spike, her chest tighten. She tried to grab her things, but the first punch came fast, too fast for her to understand what was happening. Her knees hit the pavement. Someone kicked her side. Someone else yanked her hair. She curled in on herself, trembling, wishing for the pain to stop. Then came the last hit, the one that turned her world black. When the bullies realized she wasn't moving anymore, panic flickered across their faces. But instead of helping her, they grabbed their phones, wiped their fingerprints off her belongings, and ran. A janitor found Lily 10 minutes later, unconscious and bleeding, her sketchbook torn in half. The ambulance took her away. The school tried to control the damage. The bullies lied through their teeth. But word still reached the one man it never should have reached. Luke Hart got the call at his construction job. The nurse said words like concussion, trauma, unconscious, possible internal bleeding. He dropped his tools instantly and drove to the hospital faster than he had driven in 15 years. But as he waited outside Lily's room, staring at her bruised face, something inside him cracked open, something he'd buried long ago. His brothers from the old life used to say, "Once your family forever." Luke had not called them in more than a decade, but tonight he did. And when he finished speaking, there was only one answer on the other end. "Say no more, brother." 47 engines roared to life. Word travels fast through old motorcycle circles, faster than most people imagine. By sunrise the next day, messages had spread across counties. Men Luke hadn't seen in years. Men who had watched Lily grow up from a baby wearing a pink helmet while riding on her father's Harley were already heading toward Hart's Crossing High School, but they weren't coming to start a war. Luke made that very clear. "We don't touch kids," he growled during the call. "We don't scare kids, but we will make sure this never happens again." Every rider agreed. When Lily finally woke up in the hospital, the world felt foggy. Pain echoed through her body with every breath. She tried to speak, but her throat was too dry. Luke was at her bedside immediately, gently brushing her hair back. His eyes looked like shattered glass, strong but barely holding. "Here, sweetheart," he whispered. "Dad, I didn't fight back," she croaked. "You didn't have to," he said, voice thick. "You survived. That's more strength than they'll ever understand." Tears slipped down Lily's cheeks. By noon, the school tried to resume normal operations. Students whispered about Lily, about the ambulance, about the bullies pretending they had found her hurt. But every conversation froze when the first distant rumble filled the air, Low, thunderous, and growing louder by the second, teachers stepped outside. Kids rushed to windows. The ground vibrated, then they appeared. 47 motorcycles rolling in tight formation, black tires sliding to a perfect slow crawl as they circled the parking lot. Riders in leather jackets, patched vests, steel-toed boots. Every engine cut off at the same time, echoing like the end of a storm. Luke Hart removed his helmet and stepped forward. He didn't yell. He didn't threaten. He simply asked for the principal. When Principal Daniels arrived, trembling slightly, Luke shook his hand firmly and said, "I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm here to make sure what happened to my daughter never happens to anyone's child again." Behind him, the riders crossed their arms, silent, disciplined, unified. Luke explained the attack calmly, clearly. He demanded accountability, supervision changes, anti-bullying policies, and safety measures. He pointed toward the students gathering around, wide-eyed. "You protect these kids, or we make enough noise that the whole state hears," he said. "Choose wisely." The principal swallowed hard and nodded. The bullies, who had been pretending innocence all morning, were now pale as ghosts. Their parents arrived furious, not at Luke's riders, but at their own children when the truth came out and the video evidence surfaced. By the end of the day, the school board launched a full investigation. Lily received justice. The bullies were suspended long-term, required to attend mandatory counseling, and their parents faced legal consequences. But the moment that changed everything wasn't in the principal's office. It wasn't even the sea of motorcycles that had shown up. It was when Lily returned to school 2 weeks later. She expected whispers. She expected stares. But instead, students clapped for her when she walked through the door. Not because her father brought bikers, not because of the incident, but because she had survived something brutal and stood back up. Lily raised her chin, still bruised but no longer hiding. She had found something inside herself, something she didn't know she possessed. Strength. Her father didn't bring the riders to wage war. He brought them to remind her of something he had forgotten to tell her often enough. "You're never alone. Not ever." And as she hugged him after school, she whispered something back to him, something that made every sacrifice worth it. "Dad, thank you for fighting for me. Now I'm going to learn to fight for myself too."